to not here with you, but you are here, and so therefore you are being forced to learn from me. I'm trying something new with this software, so you'll have to let me know when class is over and I see you again what you think of it and how you think everything went. So I'm looking for your feedback. Hang on. I'm going to talk for a while, and since I'm going to talk, I thought you should at least look at a picture of a baby turtle. Excuse me. Unfortunately, I can't go back and edit it. Alright, so what we're going to talk about today is how next week, starting the next time I see you, we're going to be in the computer lab physically doing research. And when you do research, there's a specific way that in Prince William County we're going to ask you to always document your research. Now, I think I mentioned to at least one class that this year we were going to try to do something new. We were going to try to put everything digitally and not have to take note cards. The sad truth is, I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this off. I'm hoping we are, but whether we can or not, I think it's still really important that you learn how to take notes the way Prince William County wants you to do it, how you'll probably have to do it in 11th grade. If we don't do it this way this year, that'll be fantastic. And if we do, it'll be good practice for you. Anyway, hopefully this lesson won't go to waste regardless. So, here we go. Oh, and I should warn you, thank you. Aren't they cute? I know, they make me happy. Enjoy the animal pictures, because there's going to be a lot of suffering today. That's not even true. This isn't hard stuff, guys. I think you'll actually find it pretty simple. Anyway, just to show me that you did more than, I don't know, pretended to watch this, I'm going to ask you when this is over to write me a summary of what you learned. So, feel free to take notes on the paper that you have in addition to what I'm forcing you to write down. Feel free to add notes along the side so that later when it is time to write me the summary, you have that. And, we've practiced summary skills, so that should be no problem for you. All right. Let's actually learn now. So, in an imperfect world, the one where we have to use paper, there are two types of cards that you'll have to keep track of. And if you look back at page 3 in your notebook, you'll see that indeed there are note cards for a grade and works cited cards for a grade. How many of each type do you need? I want you to actually physically go and look at that right now. So go ahead, pause me, and answer that question out loud. As a class, you're going to have to look back at the back side of page 3. Did you pause me? Did you figure it out? I hope that you did, and I hope that the answer was, you know what, no giveaways. You have to look. So, if you're watching this at home later, you have to go and physically look that up. We'll talk about it on Tuesday, too, but I don't care. Look it up. Anyway, let's talk about the works cited cards first, because I think they're a little easier, especially since we've had that MLA practice. Works cited cards. Notice that it's work cited and not works cited. That's because you are only citing one work, one source for each card. So, you're going to get your note card. Ba-dump. And then you're going to write works cited on it. So far, it's not the hardest thing in the world to learn, right? That's what I thought. And then you're going to number it. If it's your first works cited card, you're going to put, can you guess? That's right, the number 1. You're going to put the number 1 on your first works cited card. Now, stick with me if you can. On the second works cited card, what number do you think you will put there? Did you guess 2? I knew you guys were smart. Okay. Then there's only one other piece of information that goes on the works cited card. And that is the bibliographic information. Just like we practiced when we were practicing our MLA skills, you notice that it's double spaced. You notice that all your punctuation is perfect. All your capitals are perfect. You'll see that, can you see my mouse? Yep, you can. You'll see that we used italics here. Italics here. Remember, when we write by hand, we're allowed to underline instead of using italics. By the way, this is one of my favorite things about this program. Woo! Thumbs up! Okay. So, you've got the hanging indent and the double space. So all of that stuff goes on your card. okay? And that's it. That's your whole works cited card. After that, you are completely done with it. So let's move on to the next slide. We're going to talk about, here we go, note cards. Note cards are the other cards, and they're honestly not any harder than the works cited cards, but the numbering kind of screws people up and the labeling of it. With a works cited card, you write works cited at the top. With a note card, you actually write the author's last name. Sometimes, especially if you're using a website, you're not going to have a last name for the author. If that's the case, you're going to use the title of the web page. If you've got a book without an author, you can use the title of the book too, but that's much less common. Then you've got to number it. And the numbering for note cards is a little more complicated. So this one we're going to call 1-1. And here's why. Because it's my first works cited card and my first note card from that source. So let's say I'm using my first source. My first note card from my first source is going to be 1-1. My second is going to be 1-2. And as long as I'm using that first source and I'm filling up note card after note card from my first source, maybe the novel you're reading, it's going to be 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4. You get it. Hopefully by the time you get to your 100th note card, you'll call it 1-100. I don't imagine you'll have 100 note cards from one source, but you could go up till forever, till the end of time. Okay? So that part kind of screws people up sometimes. So next thing we're going to do is practice a little bit. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and pause this video for a minute, and on your paper I want you to go ahead and figure out what you would number these cards. So if you had the first source and the third card from the first source, what do you label that? So take a minute, pause me, and figure it out. Did you figure it out? I hope so. Here's the answers. Double check that. Go ahead and pause me one more time. I want you to go ahead and, if you don't understand, if your answers don't match those, talk to a partner, talk to each other, figure out why they are what they are, okay? Of course, if you have 1 billion sources, I think you might have wasted your life. Okay, so pause that, and we can probably move on. So, next, let's look at a picture of a baby monkey. I think he's actually an orangutan, maybe? Anyway, he's basically the cutest thing in the world. Did you get an eyeful? You can pause it if you need to look at him for another minute. I understand. Anyway, back to the note cards. So, if you got 4-1, this is, of course, your fourth source and your first note card from that source, right? Then you just go ahead and take notes. The rest of it's easy. When you take notes, you don't write incomplete sentences because you don't need to write incomplete sentences. You're wasting your time if you're doing that when you're taking notes. You can paraphrase, you can summarize, you can quote. If you quote, you better be very careful to copy it down exactly and make sure you know, especially if you're using a book, the page number that it came from. Did you catch that? Get the page number that it came from. And then when you do eventually write your paper, you're going to go back and you're going to look at these cards instead of looking at the source. We've talked about this. It's to help us avoid plagiarism, right? Okay, so we're about ready to wrap up, but let me tell you, in a perfect world, and I'm not even really going to teach this to you today, but in a perfect world, if we don't have to use these stupid note cards, all of your work is going to happen right here in Google Chrome on your Google Drive account. And remember, you should have, through your science classes, already set this up. So hopefully you've still got your ID, login, and password. You'll know you're in the right place when you see the little Prince William County logo up here in the top left corner. And this is my Google Drive. This is where I was practicing with this, and this is where I got my inspiration that we could do this whole thing without paper. I won't show you a lot, but it'll be the easiest thing in the world to keep track of your works cited cards. Instead of having card after card after card, you'll keep track of them in a document like this, and you'll just be able to type them up here And then when it's time to publish your Works Cited page, it'll all already be here for you. You'll already have it. Woo! Okay, so I love Google Docs, and I can't wait to look at this with you guys. I really hope it works out. That said, that's actually the end of the PowerPoint. So go ahead and I'm sure there was one other thing I was supposed to show you. Oh, I remember. It's hippos. That's really the end of the presentation. I would like you to go ahead and wrap up. Write me a summary of what you learned so I know it was more than the few notes that I asked you to write today. You're going to keep the notes in your notebook, and you are going to turn in your summary for a grade. If you're watching this at home because you were out on Friday or whatever day we watched this as a class on a field trip or wherever you might have been, you're still required to watch this, and you're still required to fill out the notes on School Fusion. You're also still required to write me a summary. Okay? Make sense? Hopefully this has been helpful. And now I am done talking. Have a great day, and I will see you next class.